Hey guys, Mr. Burt here again. Alright, we're going to start back at Google Classroom for Signpost lesson number 5. Again, once you get loaded onto Google Classroom, let's go up here to Classwork. Down to the lessons. Let's go ahead and click on Unit 1. Go ahead and open that up. We're going to go down to Signposts and go ahead and click on number 2 here. Once the signpost slide shows up, let's go ahead and scroll all the way down to signpost number 5, slide 77, again and again. So if you're in your ELA binder now, or just a random set of notes, go ahead and make a 5th subtitle. It's going to be labeled again and again. We're going to go ahead and go into present mode here. Now, if you guys have already guessed, the again and again is the repetition signpost. So when we're reading, we're going to be looking for things that repeat, or behavioral patterns in the characters. And as you see on the slide here, much of what we learn about friends and even enemies is by noticing patterns in their behavior. This lesson is about spotting those behaviors in our characters while we read, or characters in the movies that we watch, just to keep it a little bit more real. But in ELA classes, it's about reading. Go ahead and take time. Take some time. Let's go down to this example here. So, one day at lunch, a kid named JT shows up and sits down at a table next to you. You got you and your friends. Immediately, your buddy Harper gets up and walks off. Soon after, 5 to 10 seconds or so does the rest of your group of friends. The next day, the same thing happens. JT comes back down and sits at the table. Harper notices, gets up, and walks away. Soon after, so do the rest of your friends. Third day, same thing happens. So here we spotted a pattern. And we can already start making some pretty educated guesses about what's going on. Number 1, Harper does not seem to want to be around JT. So we can start drawing some inferences that maybe Harper doesn't like JT, maybe JT is bothering Harper, but regardless, Harper wants to get away from JT. And we've seen that because of 3 times in a row, him getting up from the table as JT sat down. We also know a couple more things about Harper. Harper seems to be the ringleader, because notice the rest of your friends also leave shortly after Harper does. He's always the first one to go. The rest of the friends always leave shortly after. So this tells us either he's popular, the ringleader, or just happens to be in charge. They may not like JT either, but they're waiting for Harper to leave first. Okay. We also know a little bit about JT. Maybe JT doesn't know what's going on and just is maybe the new kid that's sitting down, and Harper doesn't like JT for some unknown reason. Or maybe JT knows exactly why Harper doesn't like him. And is continuing to sit next to Harper to bug them. We're not really sure, but we can at least start making some guesses, right? Notice from this one repetitious act that we've already gained a lot of thoughts and questions and inferences to be made about this little bitty thing that we've just read in our example. Moving on to the next page. So once we notice the again and again, the repetitious action or thought or whatever it is in the story that seems to keep repeating, we need to make sure that we notice, one, it's important, because we know things that repeat are important. Think about the author sitting at his desk. Okay, he has to type in something important happens here. Okay, and after he gets done typing that, the story goes on, and then a little bit later, the author has to very consciously say, something happened again. And then the story keeps typing on, and then later, something happened again for a 3rd time. He types in, or she types in. Okay, so if we think about it practically, we know that when something repeats in a story, an author has put it there on purpose. They had to physically type or write it in. So we need to make sure that we're taking time to go, oh, we need to pay attention to that whatever is being repeated is probably important for some reason, and we should pay attention to it and try to maybe figure it out. So we need to decode, and we can decode and figure these repeated things by doing 3 things, and they're all kind of related. Number 1, we can make predictions. Say we do not have a lot of information. Okay, we can still make a prediction. That's still a text connection. If we have some information, maybe like we're in the middle of the story, or we have a little bit of information, we can start to make some inferences, some more educated guesses based on the information we do have. maybe toward the end of the story, or as we've gotten a lot more information about the situation, we can actually then start to draw some definite declarative conclusions. Okay? So predictions are something that we predict when we don't have a lot of information and we're just not really sure. Inferences are like educated guesses that we can make based off some information that we have, but we're still not quite sure. Conclusions are more of declarative statements. We know these are probably the right answer. Okay? And we make these off of information that we already know or don't know. But make sure we keep asking this anchor question. Why does this thing that repeats keep showing up again and again? Here's the definition for your notes. Again and again is simply the same events, words, images, and you can replace all those with the same anything that keeps showing up in a story. Okay, we want to make sure we take note of it. Here's your anchor question. Why does the author keep bringing this up? We know that they typed it in on purpose, so why? And lastly, how or why is it important? If we know things that repeat are important, we need to make sure we're asking how and why it's important. Go ahead and take some time to pause and go back and make sure you got your definition on this slide and your anchor question down on this slide. Moving on. Alright, the video is out on the left side, as you can tell. But if you go ahead and take some time to click on the video link to YouTube to watch the Rapunzel Tangled video clip on the right, what I would like you to do is in your notes, under the example section, you should have a definition number 1, number 2, the anchor question, and then number 3 section should be your example. Go ahead and make it for Tangled example. Here's what I want you to do. Number 1, write down what you notice that keeps showing up again and again. What does Rapunzel notice that keeps showing up again and again? And then lastly, answer this question down here in the green section. Why do you think the author keeps bringing this up again and again? And let's see if you get it right. I'm going to go ahead and pause this video, and you can play the video link in your own slideshow now. Moving on, let's see if you got your answer correct. Okay, so here is a modeled reader response answer from the movie Tangled. And I'm going to just pretend like I read a story about Tangled. Okay, so my example reader response will sound a lot like something I read. Here it is. During my reading, I noticed an image that continued to pop up again and again. Rapunzel seems to be seeing or dreaming or remembering pictures of a sun. If you notice the sun here in your picture, and that's what you saw repeated, you were correct. She seems to be noticing a lot of these. I kept wondering about what it was important about it, and today I finally figured it out. Rapunzel has a flashback. You could even have called this an aha moment, where her memories come flooding back after seeing the picture of the sun again. Now here's the most important part, and that's why it's in bold. This actually answers the anchor question. Why does this seem to keep coming up again and again? I said, it seems to be a connection to her parents, who look like they might have been king and queen. This must mean that Rapunzel is actually a princess. Notice I'm using exclamation points because if I was reading this for the first time, I'd be really excited about it. Here's where my conclusion and a possible prediction come into play. Remember, these are still all text connections. I think she is starting to realize that her adopted mother has been wrongly holding her captive, and here's my prediction. This idea might lead to her escape. If you had something sounding like this, you're on the right track. If not, go ahead and fix yours in your notes so it looks something like this. And again, this reader response has been copied into your reader response slides as an example for you to use for an again and again signpost as we go throughout the year. I'm moving on in about 3 seconds. There we go. All right, let's move into Hatchet. Now, you can go back into Google Classroom, and you can go down to Hatchet and open up the PDF. Okay, what we're going to be reading, if you notice, they're broken by these divider lines right here into sections. Section 1 ends right here. Section 2 is really, really short. You'll see why in a minute. Section 3 starts here, and Section 3 is what you're going to be doing your exit ticket on. But really, all of them go together. So let's go ahead and do this real quick. Back to the slideshow. What we're doing is we're trying to find out what we see that comes up again and again. Even if we're not sure why something gets repeated, we know it's likely important somehow. So we just need to think why it is, or keep reading until we get a little bit more information. We need to be thinking, why does this keep showing up again and again? go over here to it. All right, go ahead and take some time and read through the first section of Hatchet. It starts with Brian Robeson stared out the window of a small plane. For those of you who have never read Hatchet before, this is the first chapter of it, so if you happen to like what you're reading, that might be something that goes on your wish list. And just to give you a little bit of background, Brian is being sent on a wilderness hike by his rich parents to the wilderness of Canada. He's flying in a single-engine plane with an experienced pilot who you're going to meet in the next few paragraphs. And then I will just leave you there. See if you notice anything that repeats. Go ahead and pause now and take some time to read. All right, so as we noticed, once we got to the end of here, we should have noticed that this word divorce has repeated a couple times, among a few other things. It said all of the solid things, his home, his life, all of the solid things. These are all referring to things that deal with the divorce, so we could also count them as repetitions of this word as well. Okay, it also mentioned things like a breaking word, an ugly word, also referring back to divorce. Okay, so now that you've noticed that, I want you to think, why does this word keep showing up? We probably have a good prediction at this point in time, but let's go ahead and read the next section and see if we make another connection. Let's do this one together. Divorce. Secrets. No, not secret so much as just the secret. Notice this says the secret, and it's capitalized. That tells me also that this is really important, and I've seen it repeat again. What he knew and had not told anybody. What he knew about his mother caused the divorce, what he knew, the secret. Divorce. The secret. Real quick, I want you to just think or jot down in your notes something about how you think the word divorce and the secret may be connected in this story. Go ahead and pause the video and do so now. Now that you've had time to think, here's what I'd like you to do. Read the remaining section, starting with Brian felt his eyes beginning to burn, all the way down to the end. You should get some answers to your questions about what the connection between divorce and secrets are, and here's what I'd like you to do. Grab a piece of paper or an index card, whichever you like, and I want you to answer the following questions about Hatchet. Cite or paraphrase the lines that show the again and again moment. Remember, you can paraphrase in your own words, but make sure it's detailed enough for me to know what you're talking about. Make sure you also give me some sort of lead-in. Don't just copy and paste the citation and expect me to know that it's in again and again. Make sure you notify me by articulating that in your writing somehow. I noticed an again and again moment in the book Hatchet when the character Brian kept saying the words blank and blank. Lastly, the most important part, make sure you elaborate why you think this moment, event, action, thought, or whatever keeps showing up. How is it seemingly important to the story or to the characters? Make sure you write this in 3+ sentences, and whenever you get back to class, make sure you turn this in to me. If you have any questions, you can wait till we get to class or email me. Other than that, good luck. Do your best. We'll see you soon. Thank you.